Official. Warriors sign with new name. Crowd goes crazy. Immediate impact on rotation. Attention, Warriors Nation. It's now. In less than 30 seconds, you'll understand why this subscription changes our rotation today. If every cut from Steph makes your heart race and every tight hold pins you to the couch, this video is for you. Who is the new name and why did the fans go crazy? I'll show you the fit with Curry, the immediate impact on the defense, and the role in the final minutes. Stay with me. In 3 quick points, tactical adjustment, projected minutes, and effect on plus-minus, and in the end, my verdict. Contend or illusion? Let's go. Before you get to the bidding and the drawing board, leave your like now and subscribe to the channel. This helps YouTube deliver this content to more fans like you and helps me bring even deeper analysis. Activate the bell so you don't miss the next chapters of the Warriors Analysis series. Combined? So come with me, because from now on I'm going to show you how this signing changes the game. Play by play. Do you remember those games where the Warriors seemed to play on autopilot without asking anyone for permission? When the ball was running, the crowd was breathing along with every cut and every shot, and the feeling was that the team had an answer for everything. It is exactly this spirit that I want to recover today. Not with a nostalgic memory, but with a concrete idea for the present. A movement that elevates the defense without strangling the attack, gives Steph the oxygen he needs, and connects with the veteran spine that the board has been carefully assembling. It's not noise for the sake of noise. It's fitting, it's intention, it's identity. I want to talk to you face to face about why a point guard like Derek White can be the piece that turns a good team into a reliable team in a long playoff series. Let's unravel together the technical adjustment, the impact on rotation, what changes in the actions that are already part of our DNA, the mathematics of the salary cap, the limits of the CBA and market logic. No empty promises, just a clear map of where we are, where we can go, and which path shortens the distance. Before diving into the details, a quick snapshot of the moment. Even with Butler's competitive strength and Horford's tactical serenity, there are still minutes when the attack holds its breath when the ball leaves Steph's hands. The extra pass, which has always been a trademark, sometimes arrives late. In some quarters, you can count possessions in which the ball sticks, the clock melts, and Curry seems to have to play 2 roles at the same time, the starter and the finisher. At the same time, our guards sweep many meters at the point of attack, putting out fires that would not need to start. It's a competing team, of course, but it's just 1 or 2 gears away from seeming inevitable again. This is where the guard profile I want to defend comes into play. Think of a player who does not require a script to exist in the system. He reads, anticipates, occupies the right space, and moves the chain again when everything threatens to get stuck. He shoots when he's free, releases the ball when he's marked, doesn't give in to a block, contests without silly fouls, and even returns to the corner to take away the opponent's 3-point shot. This type of point guard reduces calls for help on defense, preserves Draymond's breath as a coverage coordinator, and keeps Horford closer to home, instead of dragging him to emergencies. Derek White offers just such a collection of habits. And habits, in May and June, are worth more than regular season fireworks. Let's go to the drawing on the court, which is where everything takes shape. Imagine the Warriors with the actions you already know, and now notice how White fits into them without asking for permission. On ghost screens with Steph, he appears, threatens contact, forces the defender to hesitate, and immediately opens up for the clean shot above the arc if there is a smooth switch. It's a detail, but this half-step of doubt opens windows that today, sometimes, don't open. In Chicago action, pin down plus handoff, he reads the top lock. If the marker tries to deny Curry's line, White returns the handoff and turns the corner. If the denial doesn't come, he becomes the pivot of the play, because the simple act of keeping the ball alive on the strong side buys time for Steph to reignite gravity. In the Spain pick and roll with Draymond as a back blocker, White positions himself in the right spot on the wing to be 1 pass away from the shot, but also 1 dribble away when the defender flies in the closeout. Nothing heroic. Fundamentals, economy of movement, execution. In transition, run to the right area of the line of 3. He doesn't invade his teammate's zone. He doesn't block Butler's corridor. On the contrary, it stretches the defense, and that in itself creates an unassisted layup at times. On half-court possessions where the ball goes to the elbow, he knows when to come up from the corner. Not too early, opening the passing line for a block. Not too late, leaving the pass V irate a balloon. It's metronome precision. Most importantly, none of this calls for high volume. It requires coordination, reading, and commitment to the next beat of the song. White adds silent points, the pass that shortens the defense's rotation, the occupation of the slot that offers a clear exit to the pressured point guard, the distant block of the ball that releases a Steph Curry. These are the 12 possessions that failed to become a forced shot when the clock runs out, and it is in this type of possession that series are won. Defensively, the value is almost pedagogical. A guard who survives the first contact of the block preserves the entire coverage architecture. When the opponent tries the mid-range pull-up, he doesn't give the space easily. When he attacks the rim, he contests at the highest point without turning every play into an and one. When the ball swings towards the corner, he is already composing himself, avoiding that shot that we learned to measure by the silence of the opposing fans. Each of these small victories prevents the chain reaction that opens holes. Less scramble, fewer empty corners, fewer impossible closeouts, and as a consequence, more energy saved for what really matters at the end of games, Curry's explosion. But what about the numbers, you may ask? And you're right. The eye sees, the data confirms. What interests me here is not pinpointing a hot night, but the whole contestation rate that doesn't give up easy fouls, sustainable growth in the volume of threes from above the top of the arc, playoff history in which he doesn't shrink when the opponent's game plan tightens the screws. What appears is a profile of a player who makes quick decisions, produces two-way value against elite defenses, and reads, and, most importantly, does not steal Curry's speaking time. He touches the ball, decides on a beat, and keeps our point guard's gravity intact. Now, let's move from the drawing board to the spreadsheet. The new CBA changed the game, especially for teams under the second apron. The trick of tying together 3 average salaries and equalizing them with tape is a thing of the past. The path today calls for cleanliness. Salary that matches directly, or very close to it, 0 prohibited aggregation, no frills, and a clear notion of what you give up. And that includes not dismantling the 8 or 9 rotation that wins a Game 6 away from home. There is no point in filling 1 hole and digging 2. What kind of offer smells like reality? An unprotected future first pick, perhaps a well-placed swap, a rotation player that makes sense on the other side, and clean matching. It's not a social media headline package. It is a proposal that respects the negotiating partner and the cast itself. If the request rises to the top 2 without protection and multiple pieces of the rotation, the answer, however tempting the idea may be, needs to be, let's wait for another window. Strong does not mean anxious, means patient with discretion. The windows, in fact, exist. They open up when the classification changes, when injuries redistribute responsibilities, when another franchise needs choices to make a parallel movement viable. It is at these times that diaphanous proposals, without confusion, without excess, gain attention. And that's why advanced preparation matters as much as boldness. Having the right package ready in your drawer when the phone rings, instead of putting everything together in a hurry. Let's go back to the court images. I want you to visualize the final minute of a tight game. Split action on the elbows, Steph at speed, Draymond reading the field like a marathon runner who sees the street a corner ahead. With White, the defender's indecision in the ghost is not a detail. It's the difference between the space pop for Curry and the clean pop in the slot. If the opponent denies Steph's line, White accepts the gift, puts the ball on the floor once, and makes the right decision. Shot, short floater, or extra pass. No fanfare, no idle dribbling. In the empty corner pick and roll, the equation also changes. With the empty side respected, any help that comes from White's wing finds the pass in rhythm for the planted shot. It's not a spectacle, it's attack hygiene. In Butler infiltrations, White's perfectly timed lift pulls the second defender and opens the way. Either the layup comes clean, or the pass to the perimeter finds the shooter with his feet in place. In broken plays, he doesn't keep the ball. He doesn't try to resolve it with one more dribble. He returns the chain, and it is in this return that Curry finds the game again with the already disorganized defense. Minutes and roles. Where does it fit in? In the quintet that demands size, Steph and White share the perimeter. Butler slides into the 3 position. Draymond and Horford support the rim and rebounds. When the game calls for speed and exchanges, Kuminga replaces Horford, Draymond occupies the 5, and White continues as the stabilizer who never turns the attack into a line. With the second unit, he takes over as a strong side guard who commands the secondary pick and roll, steals 2 creation possessions from Steph per quarter, and prevents hybrid formations from collapsing. It doesn't need 28% usage to be decisive. 2 3-pointers, 2 passes in the pocket, a smart putback, and 2 high-level challenges make up a period. On the other side of the table, there is rationality too. Boston valued its guards precisely because it built an identity around safe decisions and defense at the point of attack. Nothing indicates a rush to undo this. Therefore, the only conversation moving forward is the one that offers real value and a clean fit for them. Now, not in distant theory. If their priority changes, if they need picks for another move, that's when the clear proposal, with a playable piece and smokeless draft capital, becomes plausible. Serious negotiation respects the partner's context, age, trajectory, expectations. White is not an unknown explosion bet. It is the purchase of repeatable habits in a hard series. This, alongside Steph and Butler, speaks to the present, and it also projects alongside Kuminga and young people because it does not require a specific environment to deliver value. It's a piece that respects the moment and preserves alternatives, and, in the second apron environment, preserving exits is a silent talent as important as a step-back pitch. Let's be frank about risks. Nobody is predicting the arrival of a primary scorer here. If someone sells 30-point spills every night, they are not treating reality with due respect. The target is a connector who adds possessions gained and punishes defensive distractions. In terms of pitching, there will be fluctuations from month to month, as with everyone. What matters is the diet. Balls above the top, open corners, decisions at pace. Availability has been solid, but every responsible acquisition goes through medical evaluation, workload, and calendar fit. Financially, the contract matches what a contender pays for a guard who shifts results in May. It's not a bargain, it's not an anchor. It is a value that can be loaded without distorting the planning. Now, close your eyes for a moment and imagine the closing quintet in a series where every possession hurts. Steph, White, Butler, Draymond, and Horford, with the immediate alternative of inserting Kuminga when verticality and exchanges require it. It is a group that denies the temptation to invent fashion. You don't need to hunt for mismatches without criteria. You don't live on long ISOs that dry up the clock. You don't offer free corners. If the opposing defense changes everything, the safety pass to White appears early and the ball remains alive. If the defense sticks to the plan, Steph keeps dribbling until the error appears. Butler looks for the contact. Draymond reads ahead 1-2 beats. Horford offers angle, screen, and honest spacing. With Kuminga, there is a pressure lever on the rim that changes the tone of the game. And the calendar? It matters. A lot. With Butler cementing this chapter and Horford providing ballast, there's no point looking for a project. It makes sense to add someone who allows you to play playoff basketball right away. And if the board requires an adjustment next year, it's vital to have a contract that moves and a game that adapts. This is not cowardice. It is a long-range strategy. It's keeping the door open to correct course without blowing the house up. What I defend here is not longing for a name or a showcase. It's identity. Teams that win today have multiple ball handlers who defend, make half-second decisions, and refuse emergency rotations. The objective is simple to state and difficult to achieve. Reduce the number of wasted possessions and the number of assists that expose the corner. In aggregate, this is the shortest path between a competitive team and a team that plays comfortably when the series is 2-2. After all this, where do I stay? In favor, with criteria. If the opportunity arises, the proposal needs to be direct, clean matching, a first future without protection, a well-measured swap, and a player that the other team will use tomorrow. No panic, no selling the cast's soul. Haste is the enemy of adjustment, and the Warriors at their best have always known how to wait for the exact moment to move. Move when the board says move, not when the clock screams desperately. I want you to also participate in the construction of this idea. Think about your closing five with White. Does he keep Horford for weight on rebounds? Insert Kuminga to push the line? How many minutes do you reserve next to Steph in the first 2 quarters to save your legs without losing flow? And, above all, what is your red line at the negotiation table? Is an unprotected first and a swap enough? Would you be willing to include a young player in the rotation if it made the conversation inevitable? Where do you say yes? And where do you politely get up? From your chair? I bring all of this up because I believe there is a Warrior's way of making decisions. He is not driven by headlines, but by coherence. He is not satisfied with the pretty real play. He wants the 10th simple play that no one cuts, but that wins games. Derek White would not be a poster on the building's facade. It would be gear. And gears, when placed in the right spot, allow the engine to roar again without hiccups. If the window opens, I want a front office with the proposal ready, without improvisation, without noise. I want to see the team return to dictating the rhythm of the series through the accumulation of good decisions. I want to realize at the end of the 3rd quarter that there was energy left for the 4th quarter because the possessions were economical. I want to feel again that strange tranquility that great teams offer. The certainty that even when the score is tight, there is a plan that will stand the test of time. Now, it's your turn. Describe in the comments the exchange structure that you see as fair and executable. Say who's in, who's out, which pick goes, which comes back, and how you would protect the rotation. Tell us which quintet you would use in a series against an opponent that changes everything, and which quintet you would use against a team that protects the rim and relies on strong help on the ball side. Bring your reading on how White would change the spacing on early offense and why that takes 2 bad shots off the count each night. Here, the commitment is to basketball that respects the intelligence of those who watch and the reality of those who play. That's why this conversation matters. Because, more than adding a name, the proposal is to recover a way of existing on the court. Quick decisions, a defense that doesn't open its guard, an attack that doesn't waste time, confidence built possession by possession. If this plan sounds like you, let's go together. If the door opens, may we find on the other side a team capable of returning to being itself, not because it asked for permission, but because it found its own signature. And when the ball goes up in May, let us recognize the Warriors, not for what they promise, but for what they calmly do game after game, finding the right play, at the right time, with the right people. Derek White, from this perspective, is more than a target. It's a reminder that great casts don't need saviors. They need pieces that respect the music. And the music, you know, always played better when the rhythm was ours. It's now. If you believe that identity wins series, and that detail decides May and June, this is the time to put your finger on the compass and turn the season around. It's not an empty promise. It's a path. Quick decisions. A defense that doesn't concede a corner. An attack that breathes with Steph and kills the game with a surgical attack. Want to see how this translates, play by play, against each coverage type? I've already broken everything down into clipboard, clip, and number. So do this. Don't let this analysis die here. Advance with me to the next chapter and dive into the full range of tactical studies, rotation adjustments, counters for 1-5 switches, and shot maps that shorten the score in the 4th quarter. Click now on the playlist, Warriors Analysis, and we will build, video by video, the team that once again sets the pace for the series.